Good day, and in this video I will show you and tell you more about the preparations and plan for installing a Vibracrete fence, or also called a panel fence, a concrete fence, or as having some other names in other countries. The fact of the matter is that many of the videos you see on YouTube only start with the construction of the plan of the fence, excuse me, but the fact of the matter, there are many more work involved before that are not being paid attention to. The first thing is that you must get an approved plan from your local authority. If you don't have an approved plan, they can stop you from working, and sometimes within this approved plan there are some things where you can, for example, talk with the architect. You can maybe build it slightly higher, or they won't mind maybe if you put on in an extra entrance. But the thing is, you must start with an approved plan. Without an approved plan from your local authority, they can stop you. And furthermore, an approved plan gives you dimensions that is very important for you to use. The second thing is that you must familiarize yourself with your local building regulations. In our case, they want to inspect and see the boundary peg before you fill the hole with concrete. And if you do not, they do not see it, it is also problematic. They cannot only stop you, they can fine you, they can order you to break things down. So familiarize yourself with the regulations. The fact that the plan is approved does not necessarily mean you can just go and build. They want to see, in our case, they want to first see the pegs. You must ascertain all the pipes and lines. Remember, if you don't stay on a farm, and even if you stay on a farm, if you have a telephone line, electricity line, gas pipe, whatever, if those things are not running overhead, it must at some stage come into your yard, and that is underneath. The question is, where do they cross the line fence? Because if you do not determine where they are, you may damage them, and if you damage them, you will pay. You will pay. Telecommunications came, and then I told them I want to erect a fence. They move it further away from my fence. As you can see there, it was a very they moved their posts, and they also explained to me where their lines are. The electrical department came, and they also provided me with a plan, and they also marked out where the electrical lines are. And indeed, when we started to dig the holes, and we're first looking for the pegs, we found the spot where they told us the wires will come into the yard. And if we did not know it, we could have damaged it, could have gone wild. It also now depends, so that will also help us to determine where and how we must lay the concrete for the line there in that area. The municipality only warned us about the water connection and says that that is the area where it's supposed to be enter, and the water line is not very deep. But in any case, we know now where to look for it. You look at your terrain to determine if you will need to go at a sharp decline, or if you can go at an level thing. It may depend the number of posts you will have, and this you can do more or less 1 month. All these things also that I mentioned before, 1 month ahead of time. Then you can also determine the quantity that you need. The quantities, the poles, the ordinary panels, and maybe these fancy panels. These quantities, the suppliers sometimes work out for you. If you give them a plan of your area, they can quite work it out very good. But the fact of the matter is, I had to work it out also. Depends on the system, because maybe I didn't get a wonderful supplier, but they made some mistakes, and then I picked it up and I went through all the things and to work it out. Also, around 1 month before the time, you must start to order your panels and your post. You decide, okay, I want a specific panel, a pattern, maybe a bottleneck, maybe pillars, maybe whatever. You decide on your panels, and the reason is you must order it more or less 1 month before the time, because they do not keep in our area it in stock. They need sometimes to make these uh, posts and panels for you. Around 1 week before the time, you can order the cement and the stand and the stone. It also depends on how far, how quick the delivery is. If 2-3 days, okay, you can do it, but just make sure that the things are on site one day before you start. You also, maybe 1 week before the time, finalize all your equipment and tools. Just want to say that the material and the panels, I made a video for that. You can have a look at that. You also will make a video on the equipment you need, and then 1 week before the time, you determine what equipment you need. Maybe you need to buy some crayons you don't have, I don't have, and because I'm not a specialist masonry, I don't have string level. So those were the things I must buy, and other things, of course. You determine also what you have. Maybe you have a good enough level, water level, as well as a tape. Then other things, maybe things you may need to rent, because it's not everyday use you want it. You can maybe use a cement mixer, a few wheelbarrows. That's just an example. But you see to those things, determine what you need to buy, what you need to rent, what you have 1 week before the time. 1 week before the time, also you make some jigs. Maybe you need a jig for the height, a jig for the distance between the posts, the depth of the hole which you must fill up. Maybe you need some pegs also that you can hit in, because you need to determine the boundaries and the boundary pegs. And then you must start also, or around 1 week before the time, organize helpers, maybe a friend, maybe laborers, people that you can ask to come and help you at a pay, maybe family members. You can also go and notify the neighbors. I'm going to build that time. There will be new disturbances, so please be a little bit patient. That's just courtesy's sake. And then a day before the time, just ensure that all material and equipment are on site. You really don't want the material and equipment to be on site long before the time, because there's a danger things can be stolen if things are not stored correctly. For example, these Vibracrete, if they start flat, they can start cracking. They must be stored on the side, and as they are here, they can't upright. Furthermore, unfortunately, in reality, it happened then that I was pushed back and delayed by the pigs that I didn't find. But the ideal circumstances is that you 1 day before the time, all the equipment is there, and then you can continue. 1 day before the time, you can, of course, you must determine the boundaries and the boundary pegs. I hit in these pegs along the way, because as a guide to help me to get to the boundary pegs laid by the surveyor some time back when these plots were developed. However, ultimately I did not find a peg, and I had to get a surveyor in. So 1 day before, theoretically on the basis that it is there, I did not find it. It was put me back about 2-3 weeks before a lot of things happened. But I also made a video on how to get your boundary pegs. Then you mark your holes to be dug for the poles. You first mark your holes, You can do it one day before the time. You can do it on that day. There are various ways how you can mark the poles and the number of poles. You can simply divide it, determine, okay man, this is amount, and it's not such a precision work. Simply do that. The other thing is you can just stick a pole in and then just let the people lay it out, or just mark it with a brick. I also made a video on that in discuss it in more depth, but the fact is this is a broad discussion of the steps. Okay, mark the holes to be digged, and that must be digged, and uh, then you must start, of course, with a dig. On day 0, you start with first you set up the line, fence line, string line, gutter, where the outline of the fence must come and where the fence must come. Use gutter line for that. And then on day 0 you dig the holes according to, remember, the holes must be dug according to specifications. The architect gave uh, instructions and specifications, but I changed it, and then she also gave me new um, specifications. But in any case, it must be made according to specifications, not just any old in our area where we are. And then in South Africa, and then you must in South Africa you also need to notify the inspector after having the digging the holes. They will come the next day and then approve it, and only then you can continue. If you don't follow that procedure, it can become very costly for you. So be more patient, but it depends again on your circumstances. And then one day after it was approved, immediately after it was approved, you start laying your panels and your posts. And I will follow the method where you first have the panel and then come and put the post thereafter. For me, it is more secure, and it is and it's better to do it that way. And then, of course, you leave it overnight to harden and to dry and set. And then day 2, depending on how big your project is, you just fill in the panels into the sets that you have there. I set it from one side, build up the panels systematically because I feel it is structurally better and safe. And now you need to go fight, be brave. Remember, you know everything. Get the guts to do it. You know what you do, so go and do it with God's help. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please like, share and subscribe to this video. And at the end then I do have the plans as I put it in the section. Thank you very much again.